Sometimes it feels like death is winning. Sometimes as we look around our world, or even as we look at our own lives, it feels like the forces of chaos and decay have the upper hand. This path that we walk during the season of Lent is a journey towards death. And there's an undeniable heaviness to that reality. But this journey towards death is ultimately, paradoxically, a journey towards life. In John's Gospel, chapter 11, Jesus is told that one of his closest friends, Lazarus, is gravely ill. By the time he makes his way to Lazarus' home village, Jesus is met with the news that his friend has died. In fact, he's been in the tomb for 4 days already. Lazarus' sister, Martha, meets Jesus on the road and she says to him, "If only you'd been here, I know that he wouldn't have died." So Jesus tells Martha that her brother will surely rise again. And as a good first century Jewish woman, Martha affirms her belief that Lazarus will indeed take part in the general resurrection on the last day. And it's at this moment that Jesus says something mind-blowing. He says to Martha, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die." And you know the story. Jesus goes to the tomb of Lazarus, this man who beyond all shadow of doubt has died. And he orders for the stone to be rolled away, and he calls his friend out of the grave. And he comes. And this story becomes a foretaste of Jesus' own story when, after taking the weight of the brokenness of the world onto himself, Jesus once and for all breaks the power of death in his own resurrection. Jesus himself is resurrection life, and we are invited into this resurrection life with him, in him, life not just into eternity, but fullness of life that we begin to experience even here and even now. And this changes everything. It means that as we look out at the world around us, though we do see pain and corruption and oppression and yes, even death, we know that it's not the end of the story. When we see that deep brokenness within our own lives, we know it's not the final word. Out of this despair, we begin to see a glimmer of hope. Out of chaos, we begin to see order emerging. Out of death, we see life breaking through. It may not seem like much, maybe just a broken rose giving bloom through the cracks of the concrete, but life and hope nevertheless. And it's into this hope, into this life that we are called. It's this life that animates us as we become the people God created us to be. And it's this life that animates our work in the world, work for justice and freedom and wholeness, glimpses of life in God's kingdom, this kingdom that is already at hand.